Good evening to Dr. Aziza. My name is Merlin Manirat, and the metric number given is 307867. Today, I will be presenting my assignment 2 on the analysis of UX technique for 3 case studies. So the 3 case studies, among 3 case studies, the case studies that I use for this assignment is the fitness tracking app for elderly users. So this presentation will be evaluating the 3 UX design techniques that is given and provided across different stages of the design cycles. So let us dive into the introduction. So the introduction to this case study 3 is that this case study will be focused more on designing a fitness tracking application integrated with a wearable devices for elderly users that are aged 65 and above. So the application aims to have the goal of monitoring daily steps, track heart rate sensors, and then they manage medication schedules. So the constraint given to this development cycle of this case study is that it's given 8 weeks MVP development cycle and a budget estimation of 150,000 ringgit Malaysia, with a small team that consists of 1 UX researcher, 1 UX designer, and 1 consultant, along with 2 developers. So there are several challenges that need to be considered, including the age declines in visions, memories, motor skills, compliance with the WCAG accessibility standards, and the hardware limitations such as small wearable screens that face for these elderly users when they're using the applications. So to address these challenges, the UX technique that are selected for this analysis is that first, we have user interviews, second, we have personas, and third, we have heuristic evaluation. So let us move on with our first technique, which is the UX user interviews. So the first technique is user interviews. We will be dividing into 2 stages, which is research stage and then testing stage. So we're going into our first stage, which is the research stage. The interviews are conducted with the elderly individuals or users to understand the experience with their technologies, literacy, health management routines, and then the medication trackings. So the main purpose of this research stage is that to understand the elderly users' needs and then behavior, and then let them learn more about technology usage and health monitoring with the medication routines. So the main strength of this interview is that they provide rich qualitative insights into users, and then they need more motivation and challenges. So for example, interviews may reveal why elderly users or these elderly users ignores medication or notification reminders quite often because they struggle with the certain technologies of usages. And though it also provided with the limitations, so the limitation of these user interviews is that it can be time consuming, and recruiting elderly participants may not be very easy since elderly users are very precise, and then sometimes they have a lot of demands and requirements. So findings may not be represent well in this technique. So and even though we go through with the entire elderly population. So the second technique is that the user interview is the testing stages. So for these testing stages, actually, the users interact with the prototype, follow up with the interview, help with identify the reasons behind usability issues. So for example, if the user struggles with medication reminders or notifications, interviews can reveal whether their problem is caused by the unclear terminology, or the poor visual design, or the cognitive overloads. So the limitation that we studied in this technique is that there's some elderly participants may find it difficult to explain their problems or may hesitate to criticize the design properly. So despite these stages, there are also the alternative that provided, which is the analytics can track behavior but cannot explain the user motivations, like what are the true motivations behind this their answers or their requires demandings. So these are the two stages that given in this technique. So for the debate, in our debate we have surveys that we selected to debate with the user interview. So we go through one by one, which we have data. So the data collected from user interviews can provide more detailed insight into users' experience, emotion, and challenges. However, with the surveys, can provide limited responses to the details because surveys are conducted through online sometimes and not face-to-face. So that is how data are collected. The accessibility results is for user interviews. Researchers can explain questions and clarify misunderstanding easily because they're sitting face-to-face, meeting with the elderly users themselves. So it's easy for them to interpret. But for surveys, elderly users struggle with readings and then vision or interpreting while the interviews and interviewing. While for this timeline, interviews, like I mentioned, interviews can be time-consuming to conduct and analyze, but surveys can be faster since they are distributing through online sometimes, so it's easier for them to collect data and less time required to conduct this method. And for the cost, user interviews have this moderate cost due to researchers' involvement, so they don't have to use any outsourced sources to gain data. But however, for surveys, the costs are much lower than user interviews because surveys, like I said, they use nowadays they use online resources for surveys, so it's easier for them and costs lesser than user interviews. And the last is suitability for the project goals. So user interviews are more suitable when it allows users to access with the concerns from users directly. However, with surveys when they conducted their technique through online or through digitally, they tend to overlook with the importance of accessibilities with concerns. Moving on the second stages for this second technique for this case study is that we studied personas. So in this persona, we also have two stages as well, which is research stage and then the ideation stage. So let's go in with the research stage first. So for the research stage, in personas, they are created based on findings from user interviews and representative with different categories of elderly users. So for example, with the purpose, or the example of the personas, which we have Joseph with a 67 years old elderly users with a moderate smartphone experience, visually impaired, and the need of medication reminders all of the time. And then with Muhammad Razak is a 70 years old elderly users with limited technology experience, and then constantly depends on family support and has Alzheimer's disease. So for this research stage for personas, we have the strength and then the limitation. So the strength of this persona is that they help with the team to understand the users in a better or concise ways and maintain a user-centered focus throughout the whole development processes. While the limitations, the personas depends heavily on the quality of the research and may oversimplify with diversity of the real users instead of focusing on the main user center. So this is the strength and the limitation for research stage. And then the second is ideation stage. For the ideation stage in personas, we have the purpose, design ideas, strength, limitations, and the alternative. So during the ideation stage, personas help generate designs, ideas that are matched with user interfaces or the user's requirements itself. So for example, we can say that the design can include simplify onboarding processes, voice reminders for users with reading difficulties, and the larger text or high contrast interfaces for users with a visually impaired difficulties, like Joseph earlier. So the main advantage or the strength of this ideation stage is that the personas provide a shared understanding among designers and the developers differs between the user-centered designs and the users themselves. Though they also have the limitation, which is that the personas are quite fictional as to be used as the representative and may not fully reflect in every real users in the real world that they have in this population. So the alternative that we suggested for this persona is that journey mapping, which is more detailed, concise, and then in the aspect of time and then the resources. So let us debate with the personas. So the debate that we selected for this persona is empathy mapping. So we'll go through with the criteria one by one. In between personas and empathy is mapping. So for the supports for design and decision, personas prioritize features and accessibility requirements more rather than empathy mapping, which focus more on the emotional intelligence of these users upon using the usabilities of the system. While the ease of communication for personas, the personas are easy for designers and developers to make reference throughout the project instead of like going through with the empathy mapping, that they have less structural for decision making because they focus more on the emotional parts. And for the user representation, personas provide a complete user profile information that includes goals, demographics, behaviors, and demands. While the empathy mapping, they focus mainly on feelings and emotional breakdowns or the emotional intelligence of these users. While the personas, the criteria for elderly users friendly, have a clear indication for different levels of technology literacies among elderly users. While the empathy mapping, they partially captures the practical accessibility requirements. And last is for the development time for the personas to develop this whole establishing of this system, is that the development is instant of the data collection. So once data is collected, so the development of the establishment of the system are quite faster and instant. While for the empathy mapping, it's also relatively quick. So we can say that the personas and the empathy mapping for development time, they have rather equal processes in the running of process and progress aspects. So let us dive in with the third technique that we study in this case study, is that heuristic evaluation. So the heuristic evaluation, actually we separate into two stages as well, which is prototyping and then the testing stages. So we will be going into the prototyping stage first. During the prototyping, the UX expert evaluates the applications using Jacob Nison's usability heuristics. So the evaluation are mainly focused on the consistency, the visibility of the system status, the clear languages, the error prevention and recognition of the input rather than the recall. So the major strength is that the efficiency of this system, because the efficiency of the system, it allows the usability problems to be identified quickly through this technique and at a lower cost, which is ideal for these projects when it's given with a limited budget and the time. However, this heuristic evaluation itself relies on expert judgment most of the time, so it does not involve with the actual user. So it's almost similar like the personas when they use fictionals. So the next stages is testing. The testing stages for heuristic evaluation is that the heuristic evaluation is conducted alongside with the limited of user testing. So it's conducted with the limited source of user when they're going through the testing. So the focus of this evaluation for this testing stage is that navigation between health metrics, and then the medication, reminder workflows, the wearable device interactions, and then the accessibility compliance with the WCAG standards. The strength that can be studied in this heuristic evaluation is that it includes speed, low cost, and the ability to identify the usability issues earlier. However, with the limitations given, it also includes with the not directness of the involvement with the users, because some elderly specific challenges may not be fully captured. So when they don't include with these users, the real users, the actual users by themselves, so the real problem or issues may not be solved and could be oversimplified in their own ways. So the alternative for this heuristic technique is that cognitive walkthrough, accessibility evaluation, and the usability testing. So we're going through the debate. So the debate that we use to justify with this heuristic evaluation is the cognitive walkthrough. So for the cognitive walkthrough, actually we have 5 different criteria, as you can see it here. So we'll start off with the first criteria, which is the best use case. For heuristic evaluation, it has this broader identification of usability issues across the whole system, while for cognitive walkthrough, it's checking through whether the first time user can complete with the critical task more efficiently. While the focus for heuristic evaluation, the overall interface and the usability includes the consistency, visibility, and the error prevention will be the main focus. As for the cognitive walkthrough, it refers to the user's learning process and the task completion, such as setting medication reminders. So for this cognitive walkthrough, it focuses more on these learning processes from the user upon using the application. But for the heuristic evaluation, it's focused mostly in wide range of usability before it's deployed for the users. So the strength, it's almost similar with the strength that we mentioned, but we will go into in detail for this debate, which is the strength for heuristic evaluation is that it fast and identifies a wide range of usability issues or problems earlier. But for the cognitive walkthrough, the more detailed understanding of the user interaction flows will be identified. But the next criteria is that the suitability of elderly applications. For heuristic evaluation, the usefulness of the general accessibility and the UI issues are considered. But for the cognitive walkthrough, the users of the usefulness of the testing, onboarding, and medication reminder notification workflows will be the suitable implementation for this application. And the last criteria for this debate between these two, heuristic evaluation and cognitive walkthrough, is that the evaluator. The evaluator for this heuristic evaluation is that the UX expert reviewing against the usability principles, while for the cognitive walkthrough, the evaluator simulating a user step-by-step action, like giving a beginner's training or the manual guidelines system or guidelines processes or tasks, so that user can have this actual testing or usabilities of this actual processes or the flow of the whole usability testing of this system. So these are the 3 techniques that I have chosen for this study, and that the stages that I've mentioned, which are selected to be used in this technique for this study. So before going through with the conclusion, we have these recommendations as well. So for the recommendations of these techniques is that if we can conclude based on the analysis, the recommendation approach is that the first, conduct with the user interviews to understand elderly users' needs and challenges, understand what they demand, what they require in the system for the tracking, for the fitness apps and everything, so that we can meet the requirements accordingly with a proper implementation and establishment. The second is develop a personas to guide design decisions and a features prioritization, so that we can have this full focus on this design decisions and the feature prioritization for these difficulties or the think that we should focus more on elderly users, and then we can implement it accordingly and properly. And the third is that the use of heuristic evaluation approach is to identify the usability and the accessibility issues before involving with the real users. So this combination allows the project team to maximize limited resources while maintaining a user-centered design process in a proper way, in a more functional, efficiently way. So that's the recommendations. So this is the conclusion. So the user interviews, persona, heuristic evaluations are the most suitable UX design technique that I have studied for my case study in this assessment. Together they help the design team understand the user needs, they create user-centered solutions, and they identify the usability issues earlier because it's given with the limited time and the limited budget. So this technique it's safer and more ensure that the application is accessible, user-friendly, and aligned with the needs of these elderly users or senior users. So this is all the conclusion and the whole presentation of my case study for this assessment 2, and that is all from me. Thank you.